What we got down here is we've got some AliExpress Chinese style, as you've seen them on all the other discount shops. These Woolies. We've got the dreaded Easy Detail brush that always seems to snap on the handle. These kind of wear through quite quickly and end up scratching your alloys and causing loads of damage, but they do have some uses. And we also have the Braun Automotive style Woolies, the expensive ones. These are ones from Turtle Wax. I've got these on an offer for 30 quid. You can't get them anymore, which is a shame, but I'm going to talk you through the little bits and pieces that we've got, the differences between these ones. We've also got a Carbon Collective wash mitt. So what are the differences? So for me today, I'm working on a BMW 320d. I've got this type of finish of an alloy, this type of shape of an alloy. Now, alloy wheels are a bit of a nightmare because obviously there are so many different styles of alloys, so many different types you've got to use, and it becomes a nightmare trying to get brushes in all sorts of areas. Now, when we're detailers or when you're enthusiastic, when you're watching these type of channels, you're a proper cleaner. You go to the 8th degree, but there might be a little bit of controversy between what's best, what's not best. And what I always say to is, work with what you've got to work with. What I find works for me doesn't always work for other people. Now, the luxury we've got today is we've got a little bit of Garage Therapy wheel shampoo, so we're going to show you that as well. This is version 1, not version 2. That'll be coming out on the channel later on. But we've got ceramic coated wheels, as you can see from the beading properties. This has just been rinsed off, so just a rinse. You can see that these look really clean. I can't show you before because I've obviously rinsed the car off. If you haven't seen the video before on the Monster Munch mitt, this is just drying now because we've got spotless water on it. I can now go down, do the wheels, leave this car to dry, less contact, less tail drying, less marring, and this will just dry nicely in the sun. So we're doing the back to front wash where we're going to start. We did the body first and now onto the wheels. So let's get into my thought processes on how and why I like to use the Chinese wheel Woolies compared to the Braun Automotive wheel Woolies, and how they work and how they operate slightly differently, and see what you guys think and let me know. So let me pitch you down here. I'm going to prep you up and I'm going to talk you through it. So let me just put you down there. So we've got the IK Pro Foamer 2, which has got the Garage Therapy products in it. Give this a little pump up. This is a great little product, and one of the things that I like to use the wheel shampoo for is because it's ceramic coated wheels. I will use a non-acid wheel cleaner, which I have actually pre-washed these with some Wax and Away alloy wheel cleaner. So I sprayed these on and let that dwell for literally 3 or 4 minutes and then rinse them off. So that is a little bit cheating, but I do like to use some Garage Therapy wheel shampoo in my IK Pro Foamer 2 as modelled by Johnny's hands, because I like the slip and slide. I don't want to be using too harsh chemicals. I don't want to degrade the process of the protection. Obviously ceramic coating is protected from 3 pH to 13, 14 pH. But we don't want to degrade it, you know. This isn't a test about how much dirt you can get off with one cleaner. So let's get on this alloy. So I've got 30 mils of shampoo in there, and I get that nice light slip and slide. If you want to go a bit extra, add yourself a little bit of your citrus in there if you want, 20%. You can use citrus pre-wash by Garage Therapy, and you'll start to see how strong this cleaner is. You can start to see the browning of the tyre working quite quickly. That's quite impressive. So let's start with wheel Woolly number 1 and why I like it. Let's start with the Chinese style, AliExpress style wheel Woolies. Now, one of the things I love about these were the first set of wheel Woolies I had. Now, what is the differences between this one and the other one? Well, it's a short pile, a bit like a microfiber how it works, a short pile. And this one has got a lot more of a shagginess to it. So this is going to allow it to get behind things. Now, the difference between, if you've been using Easy Detail wheel brushes for a long time, is that for me, the spokes on the Easy brushes, they're great for silver wheels, are fantastic. And they do get into certain areas, but those bristles, for me, when I've gone back and taken wheels off to clean them, I've seen a huge difference in the finish. I started to see a big, it'll fold down like a cat's fur to a very small size, as you can see, you always want to automatically go for the big ones, but wheel Woolies don't work like that. You don't need all that. You don't need all that. You only need something this small. Now, the two advantages is, this is a short micropipe. This is a very short one. As you can see, a bit like a bulrush, very small. And compared to the rim packer ones that Paul's reviewed, the rim packers ones I gave to Paul because they were so bloody strong. They were so aggressive, they couldn't bend or anything. And one of the things I love about this wheel Woolly is, look, it bends. It's fantastic. And it allows me to get into these areas. So the question is, which wheel Woolly is better for this job, for these set of alloy wheels? Well, actually, we'll talk about that at the end of the video. But first of all, you can see that the areas I'm going to get into first are behind the spokes. Go to the areas first where the most dirt is, and that is going to be trapped behind the alloy wheels. Whenever I take wheels off to check them, when I'm doing ceramic coatings, every time I check an alloy wheel, it's always going to be behind here where the paint started to peel. Always. So I'd always recommend to a customer or yourself to take the wheels off every 3 to 6 months and just give them a proper deep clean just to keep them going. So you get yourselves behind in these little areas in here. And obviously if you've got microfiber gloves like this, these are also really, really helpful. You need to use all the tools available, everything you want to do to get into these little areas. So as you can see, when you get behind here, you can get behind here, but it just doesn't quite fit the damage behind the wheels because that's not on show. Like I say, marring and that behind there is not going to be an issue, but this works really good. You just see I can get right in there. These little runners, these little air ducts that obviously cool the brakes down, they're just an absolute sod for collecting brake dust. So far, both wheel Woolies fail on this little task of the wheel cleaning. This one is winning all day long, and I don't feel too bad getting into these little areas, which is great. Obviously, like I said before, this is too big. You don't need something that big. We're going to go downsize into the little one. So let's get ourselves a smaller one. And that's the great thing about having all these different sizes, having all these different shapes and sizes. There we go. Is that you only need to use. There you go. Look, loads of room. Just tickling in there, look. That's lovely. Now, one of my best top tips when you're doing wheels, if you're doing them at home or for yourself, and you've got the money to spend, get a nice little jack. You can get an SGS jack for about 80 quid, and you can jack the wheels up. That'll give you the opportunity to spin them while you're cleaning. Makes life a lot easier. Is it stressful? Probably a little bit more, like having to get the wheel, having to get the jack out. But if you're someone who likes to spend a bit of time on your cars and get them nice and clean, but there's no reason why you can't get fantastic results from these kind of areas. So again, a great little tool, but one of the things you notice the difference is comparison side by side is, look, wouldn't it be great if these wheel Woolies could bend like this? That would be the ultimate wheel Woolly then. That would give you a lot of opportunities. So same again, look. And the great thing about this being a bit longer, so I can get into these little areas. Now where this fails a little bit is getting into these little areas. Those nice foamy areas, you feel like you're getting a bit more purchase on these areas, and it's a lot more softer, a bit more of a cushion. But the sad part about it is there's just not one perfect brush for one set of alloy wheels. If you've got a car that you're going to keep for a long time, you might be able to buy a set of brushes that work really well. But there's another opportunity. There's something that we didn't think about that you can use as well, and that is you can go bananas. You can go two. Get yourself in the Swedish 2-finger blaster, and that'll get you around even faster. Get yourself in front of it. I can't get quite in there right now with those kind of tips, and that works great. So the answer to the question is, Are the Chinese wheel Woolies better, worse, or other? And basically what I'm trying to say is you probably need them all. And that's the most important thing about wheel cleaning, is there's no set size, no set perfect wheel Woolly for each job. These are great because they bend, much easier to use. I think these stoppers are much better than these ones. You have to buy these tips, they're a nightmare. This is so much more robust. These bend, make life a lot easier. You can use these to do exhausts, you can use these to get down the sides in interiors, you can use these to go into engine bays, you can use designated for certain jobs, all sorts of things. The one thing that the Easy Detail brush does do though, that the other brushes can't do, and that is the bog brush. And that's this bad boy, getting into the arch clean area. And one thing that a wheel Woolly doesn't do that well is get into these areas, and that's where I'd use this. So there's a few tools to play with, a few ideas to think about. The answer to the question was, which wheel Woolly's better? Well, that's down to you. That's down to your personal preference. And I think, like I said, for me, I've got all of them. When I'm setting up for a car, there's so many different types of alloy wheels, so many different types of problems. I'm trying to do the back to front wheel cleans, so it makes a big difference. I do love the Garage Therapy shampoo for wheel shampoo, very good for ceramic coatings. You don't need to be hitting wheels every time with iron fallout and all this stuff. All you're doing is degrading the components, the suspension components, any metallic components that are around the disc area. If you don't rinse that vehicle properly, they're going to rust, they're going to degrade. And I've had a problem with my 330 where I had to change the caliper because of so much testing with the iron fallout treatments. Seized the caliper because I wasn't rinsing it over and over again properly. You should always snow foam rinse the wheels afterwards, which is why most people do the wheels first and not last, so that you can use the snow foam to get in there and get those bits of chemicals off. And always when you're doing a decon for the whole body, the whole car, always snow foam or wash the car afterwards, just to get rid of any leftover chemicals. So there you go. Chinese wheel Woolies versus the most expensive wheel Woolies. Well, I think they all have a purpose. I don't think price is really the issue. I think the alloy is the issue. I think the technique is the issue. I think all the other things are the issues. I think it's down to personal preference. If you want to swag off with your mates about the big Chinese, and not use the Chinese wheel Woolies, because people are going to slag you off in your comment section when you're doing reels, I get it. Use the Braun ones, but they don't bend. They're very rigid. They're very one-dimensional, but they are soft and very sharp. Very quick, very sharp. And yeah, we're going to finish off doing